First, I'm gonna get on my soapbox, and I have a bone to pick with self-care. Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Tori. I run Her First 100K, which is a money and career platform for women. I believe I was put on this earth to fight for your financial rights. And we're on YouTube today. And we'll be on YouTube for forever now, I guess, for all the days. But this is new for me and maybe new for you. Today we were talking about a money date. And you're like, I don't know what that is. Well, great, I'll tell you. First, I'm gonna get on my soapbox, and I have a bone to pick with self-care. Capitalism has done its thing again, where self-care has been commodified, right? We hear the word self-care and immediately now we picture bubble baths and candles and a face mask, which by the way, I was supposed to be putting on in this video, but then I put on a whole face of makeup and I was like, I'm not gonna take it off, I'm sorry. So this idea with self-care is we think it's the things that we need to buy or that we need to do in the moment to make ourselves feel better. That's not true self-care. I'm gonna blow your mind. Like, that's not self-care. That's a self-soothing action, which is 100% okay, right? I self-soothe when I've had a hard day at work, right? Or I self-soothe when someone on the internet says something mean to me. That's not self-care. True self-care is hard shit. Like, true self-care is the things that feel deeply uncomfortable while you're doing them, but that ultimately like make your life easier. And I talk about this more, shameless self-promotion, in my book, Financial Feminist, but like self-care is the going to therapy and bawling your eyes out. Self-care is eating a salad when you don't want to eat a goddamn salad, but you know it's gonna make you poop better. Like, self-care is having a hard conversation with a friend, going to the gym, and yeah, looking at your money. It's the things that probably don't feel good in the moment, but ultimately make future you's life better. And the example I give in the book is like me cleaning my kitchen before I go on a trip. Like, I do not want to do it, but I will tell you, the moment I get home from the trip and I have clean counters, like, I am so thankful to past me for doing the things she didn't want to do, so that future me's life is better. When we're talking about financial self-care, when we're talking about actually getting honest with ourselves about our purchases, about our spending decisions, right? About where we're at with our financial goals, about actually setting financial goals in the first place, about actually feeling like we're progressing, one of the things that happens is we avoid this financial self-care because it feels too hard. It's a lot easier to bury our heads in the sand and act like our problems don't exist. And we call this in the book the ostrich effect. This is a very well-known phenomenon in the personal finance community, which is my debt is too high and my spending's too crazy and I just don't want to look. So I'm just going to ignore my bills, right? And I'm going to ignore everything that's going on. But the truth is, I need you to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I need you to, without shame and judgment, start actually looking at your money as a way of bettering your life. I know that it feels more comfortable right now to just ignore it. Like, I know, because I talk to you all and you're like, I don't want to log into my student loans. I don't know what I'm going to find. Here's the thing though, that's not going to make the problem go away. And like, you know that, I know that, we all know that. You have to get honest with yourself and you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So with the money date, what are we doing? We are setting aside a portion of time. I do every single month, but really for my business, I do every week. You get to decide. Minimum once a month. You're gonna sit down and you're gonna have designated time to look at your money. You're gonna have a designated space that you mark on your calendar that's non-negotiable, that is something you can look forward to. Maybe that's with, you know, takeout from your favorite restaurant or while your favorite movie's on or something that you can actually like incentivize yourself and bribe yourself to do. But you're setting aside that time to actually look at your money. Okay, so when we're sitting down and we're having this once a month, once a week, whatever you decide, financial date with ourselves, here's a couple of the things we're looking at. One, we're looking at our credit card statements / our debit card statements. We are looking for subscriptions we forgot to cancel, fraudulent charges that happen sometimes, like double charges, but also we're looking for things that we don't even remember doing. We're looking for Amazon charges where you're like, I can't name what that was. And I'm like adding myself here. Like there's so many times I look at my credit card statement and I'm like, that's a fraudulent charge because there's no way I did that. And then I look and I'm like, no, I did that. I bought Instagram swipe up wrinkle repairing stickers. Checking in on your credit card statements, your debit card statements, figuring out both, is there things that you want to optimize? Is there things that you need to report because they're fraudulent? But also, do I remember the purchases I'm actually made, and do I actually like them? So that's the first thing we're doing. Second thing we're looking at is we're looking at our account balances. How much debt do we have? Where does that debt live? How much do we have in savings, if anything at all? Where does that live? If we have investments, where do those live? How are they performing? We're just doing a quick check-in to figure out, again, is everything optimized? This is the perfect opportunity. You're gonna hear me say this, God, so many times on this fucking channel. If you don't have a high yield savings account, you fucking need one. They're literally the easiest way to immediately make more money. This is where your short-term savings should live. Your emergency fund, you're trying to get married next year, your vacation fund, your dog emergency fund, whatever that looks like. But this is the time during the money date to say, okay, I'm gonna take the 10 minutes that I've been putting off and actually sign up for one of these accounts. Or I am going to actually open up my Roth IRA and start contributing to it. So we're both checking our account balances, but we're also doing any sort of like decision making, any sort of like bank switching or transfers. We'll talk about this in a future episode, but one of the easiest ways you can immediately start saving money is setting up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your savings account, or even through your payroll platform at work, saying, okay, I want 2% of my paycheck, 5%, 10%, 20% of my paycheck set aside into that high yield savings account. So this is the perfect opportunity to actually get that transfer set up. We'll link all of the resources to high yield savings accounts, any sort of like budgeting apps that we love, all down below so that you have somewhere to go next. Okay, third thing we're doing, we are setting our goals and we're checking our progress towards them, right? So for me, my 100K goal at 25, that was the big goal that I was striving towards for a really long time. Now for me, less of my goals are personal and they're more about the business. They're more about making sure that I and HFK has enough money to support the things we're trying to produce, to pay our people well, to make sure that we have enough money to support the business, not just for now, but into the future. For you, that might look like, yep, I'm trying to get married next year. It's going to cost $30,000. That was a cheap wedding, by the way. But like figuring out how much do I need to save every single month in order to hit that goal. Maybe it's, maybe you're older or maybe you're wanting to retire sooner rather than later. How do I set up my accounts and how do I set up what I'm trying to do in order to progress towards that goal? So number 3 and number 4 are kind of like linked. Number 3 is setting and, working to achieve the goal. And number 4 is optimization. Like, what about your life can you optimize? And we talked about this a bit, but do I have a regular savings account that's earning me fucking nothing in interest? And should I get a high yield savings account instead? Am I maxing out my Roth IRA already? Cool. What are my other options? Where else can I go to contribute money for my own retirement? If I'm paying off my debt, is this something that's happening at the pace I want? Do I want to speed it up? Or maybe even do I want to slow it down? Do I feel like I'm depriving myself of the things that I love? So with this money date, right, we're just doing a general check into our money and giving ourselves the dedicated time that we need to make those financial decisions. Now, if you are managing money with somebody else, a partner, a spouse, even a business partner, right, please do this with them. Set aside that designated time to have those financial conversations. The easiest way to have these conversations be actually productive as opposed to yelling or arguing or butting heads is to ask yourself, and if you are managing money with a partner, to ask your partner, how do we use money as a tool to build a life that we love? And whether you're single or coupled, you can ask yourself this question. How do we use money as a tool to build a life that we love? And actually work backwards. These conversations in your money date don't have to start with, and shouldn't start with, you're overspending money or you're putting too much money on a credit card, or like, it can start with, we love travel and that's a really important thing to us and we want to travel at least twice every year. How do we use money as a tool to get there, right? Or we want to have children in the next 5 years. How do we use money as a tool to get there? Or we want to start our own businesses or have more flexibility in how we work. How do we use money as a tool in order to get there? The first reason we're doing that is we're trying to avoid these like financial confrontations, right? But the second thing is it just makes everything so much happier, right? It's not like, oh my God, I don't have enough money to do this. It's like starting with the thing you actually want and then realizing that money can just be a tool, right? It can just be the thing that helps you get there rather than the thing that's keeping you from that. And again, you can ask yourself this in your money dates, even if you're not doing them with somebody else. When I was thinking about, in my early 20s, like, what do I want my life to look like? I didn't want to work for somebody else. I wanted to have my own company and call my own shots. Well, how do I use money as a tool to get there? Okay, I save up enough money where I feel financially secure enough to have enough runway to start this business and hopefully have it succeed. So you can start having these productive conversations in a way that isn't about how much money we don't have or our partner's stupid decisions that we hate. It can be, wow, I really want this for my life, or I really want this for our relationship, or I really just want my day-to-day existence to look like this. How do I use money as a tool to get that? Well, what happens if we don't is we end up making fast, unresearched, stressful spending decisions because we haven't set aside designated time. We also end up just thinking about our money, usually panic-stricken at 2 a.m. because we haven't given ourselves dedicated time. And if you're managing money with a partner, you're probably fighting about money because you're not giving yourself and your partner a designated time to sit down and actually have financial conversations. Now, you're probably hearing this and you're like dry heaving. You're like, I don't want to look at my money. I don't want to do this. Here's the thing. Again, we're going to make it something we look forward to, but also the way we check in on our progress is by checking in on our progress. Like, that sounds so obvious, but if you're trying to pay off debt, or if you're trying to save money, or you're trying to say, yeah, I'm saving for that dream wedding or that dream vacation or me being able to start a business, and you're not actually looking at your progress towards that goal, well, you're not going to be motivated because you're not going to see that you've actually done shit, right? Like, I think about going to the gym, but like, do I actually do that? Like, there's so many people who tell you, right, if you're starting on any sort of fitness journey, you need to take photos, right? Because you won't see your own progress. Like, you won't see you getting stronger. You won't see the, fact that you can lift 5 more pounds than you could last week because you don't remember, right? You like black out. You don't remember. So we need to check in on our goals and check in on our progress, not just to optimize and not just to figure out like, what do we want to tweak? What do we want to change? What's working, what's not? But also to say like, oh, I paid off $1,000 of debt last month. I didn't even know that. Or, I feel like my purchases are actually aligned with my values now for the first time in my life. Like, I need you checking in on your goals, both to optimize, but also to give yourself a pat on the back and to give yourself a cookie, because cookies are good, but also you need to make sure that you feel bought in. You can't actually progress in your financial goals if you don't feel like they're yours, if you don't feel like you can and are seeing progress and are making, a chip towards your debt, like you're chipping away at your debt or actually saving money. So we're checking in during this financial self-care time to both optimize, but also to reassure ourselves that we're doing the best we can. Okay, to recap, the 4 things we're looking at: credit and debit card statements. Do we remember making purchases? Is there anything that we need to contest? Do we need to cancel subscriptions? That's the first thing. Second thing, we are looking at our account balances. Where is our money? Where is it going towards? What sort of priorities do we have in terms of debt versus saving versus investing? Number 3, we're looking at goals. We're looking at setting them, but also number 4, optimizing those goals. What sort of decisions do we need to make, either minor or major, to actually start progressing towards the goals that we have? If you want more about the money date and you're like, Tori, that sounds great, but I want even more detail. Well, cool. Chapter 7 of my New York Times bestselling book, Financial Feminist, has all of the information that you need to execute a good money date, but also to start reflecting on what sort of financial decisions you're making and giving yourself that mindset of like what you want your life to look like. Because if you are that person where you're like, I don't know what my life should look like, we got you. As always, thank you for being here. Thank you for being financial feminists. Like and subscribe. We have so much more content coming. And if you have questions about the money date or about anything we talked about, we'll probably do a future video about it. So, You can subscribe, stick around, comment down below. And if you're wondering where to go next, again, book is a great resource. You can get it at your local library if you can't afford a $20 book right now. And we have so many more resources around, again, recommendations for these sorts of things, budgeting apps, high yield savings accounts, places to go next, link down in the description. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being financial feminists, and we'll talk to you soon.